11 killed in Israeli strikes on Gaza, rescuers say. 11 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes in Gaza on Sunday morning, according to Palestinian civil defense and health officials. The IDF said it had struck terror targets in response to ceasefire violations by Hamas, and that militants had been killed after emerging from a tunnel into the area of the Strip controlled by the Israeli military. The Palestinian Red Crescent said a strike on a tent encampment in northern Gaza killed at least 6 people, while another strike in the south of the Strip killed 5. Both Israel and Hamas have accused each other of near-daily violations of a fragile ceasefire agreement since it took effect on October 10. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry has said at least 600 people have been killed since the ceasefire went into effect. At least 32 people were killed in a wave of Israeli airstrikes across Gaza earlier this month, according to local officials. The latest strikes came as the preparations continued for the implementation of the second phase of a US-brokered ceasefire agreement. Last month, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a new body called the Board of Peace, which has a mandate from the United Nations Security Council to establish an international force tasked with securing border areas in Gaza and overseeing the disarmament of Hamas. The board, which was due to have its first meeting in Washington on February 19, will also oversee the formation of a new technocratic Palestinian government in Gaza and post-war reconstruction. Last week it was announced that Indonesia, a Board of Peace member, would deploy 8,000 soldiers to Gaza as part of Phase 2 of the ceasefire agreement. The war was triggered by the Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on October 7, 2023, in which about 1,200 people were killed and 251 others were taken hostage. Israel responded to the attack by launching a military campaign in Gaza, during which more than 71,820 people have been killed, according to the territory's health ministry. Elsewhere, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu traveled to Washington on Wednesday to meet U.S. President Donald Trump, where they discussed ways to curb Iran's nuclear program, which Tehran has always insisted is for purely civilian purposes. Netanyahu was expected to press Trump to pursue an agreement that would halt Iran's uranium enrichment, as well as cutting its ballistic missile program. However, Trump later said there was nothing definitive reached and that talks with Iran would continue. Iran's deputy foreign minister told BBC News further talks would take place in Geneva on Tuesday. An unnamed U.S. official confirmed the date to Reuters news agency. Opposition politicians flocked to a summit in Munich to offer an alternative to America First and stake a claim as future party leaders. The former U.S. president didn't name Trump, but lamented the lack of shame and decorum among public officials. The shutdown won't affect air traffic controllers, but some TSA workers may go without pay. The fire, which Cuban officials say was contained quickly, comes as electricity and fuel supplies dwindle. The U.S. president's comment comes as a second aircraft carrier heads to the Middle East to pile pressure on Iran. Copyright 2026 BBC. The BBC is not responsible for the content of external sites. Read about our approach to external linking. You have reached the end of our in-depth report. For more deep dives into global affairs and breaking news updates, please subscribe to Neuron News Global and enable all notifications. Stay informed, stay ahead. See you in the next broadcast.